You're watching PHI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
The wheel is turning and you can't slow down. You can't let go and you can't hold on. You can't go.
Hello and welcome back into My Wheelhouse. It is April 16th, a dreary marathon Monday. We're celebrating all of the game ones being completed in NBA playoff basketball, as well as shout outs to anyone competing in the marathon today. Rest in peace, Hal Greer.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 81-year-old Hall of Famer.
He was
a
81.
Yeah, 10-time All-Star.
Legend.
Yeah, I think he's
Great
the Philadelphia 76ers all-time leading scorer. So the game loses another legend. I think
He's a great player.
I think he was like a 25-5 on his career for what he averaged. Played early on. He played with
He played with Chamberlain, I think.
Yeah,
He played with Billy Cunningham.
what was the other team? He played on Philly, and what was the first team he played on? It was one of the teams, a team that folded. That's not around anymore.
Really?
Syracuse.
Well,
Maybe.
Yeah.
They transitioned.
They moved to a different town.
Right. So
it's Syracuse. Syracuse might have won the war. I forget. But
Are they
anyways,
the
Hal
Nationals
Greer,
or something like that?
He's a really good player. It was Hal Greer, Wally Jones, Billy Cunningham, Wilt Chamberlain, and I can't remember the four on that team. They were always there with the Celtics.
Yeah.
But they always didn't get any further than the Celtics except for 1 year. But Hal Greer was a nice player, very nice jump shot, upright type player, good handle, good point guard.
Yep.
I hadn't thought about him in so long. And now,
1967 champion. Won in 1967.
with Wilt.
That's right. And before we get to the wheel, it seems that Sloan, the Big Three trivia master, has more questions
Big
for
three
us.
time. All right, so let's
We're
see.
getting right into trivia
Let's
before
see.
the wheel.
Let's
Yeah.
see if Uncle Mike
How about
can
baseball
dethrone you.
Nah.
Well, baseball, we could talk about that later, but Red Sox they have the best start.
And tomorrow
ever.
night, if you want to
Best
catch
start in
something,
franchise history.
I think Otani's going tomorrow night. So have you heard of Shohei Otani?
Yeah.
I think
Japanese.
he's either pitching tomorrow night or
He's
playing.
pitching.
He's
Yeah,
pitching
'cause
tomorrow
they
night.
got rained
That'd be
out of
quite
their
an
last game.
event. That's the first guy since Babe Ruth that can play both positions.
He seems important.
All right, I know you're posturing to get out of this, but you're not getting out
I'm
of
just
this.
how hard it's like
All
you
right,
gotta
so
have
Big
another
Three,
guest
I'm
here.
going to ask a few different
Maybe
questions.
Christy will come up and do it instead of me.
Don't think that's going to happen. But I'm going to ask three different questions, and the first one to get 2 out of 3 in each of these wins.
Correct.
All right, so Big Three, the 3 highest scoring performances of this season, the 2017-18 regular season. Start with Mike.
Michael Towns.
Carl Towns.
Carl Towns,
Towns.
3rd on the list, so you got it. He's got 50. He had how many points?
56.
He had 56.
So, is it a tie?
There's 2 ahead of him.
There's 2 ahead of him. Anthony Davis. I don't remember, to be honest.
Nope. Davis had 53, so your chance.
How many did Towns have? He had
56.
Towns had 56, so there's 2 above.
I know
Above
both
that
Dame and CJ
performance.
both
How
had 50.
about Bradley Beal?
No, but close. He had 51. He was a couple under.
Position.
You guys are overthinking this.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Oh yeah,
was
that's
one.
right. The big game. What do you have? 58.
Yeah.
LeBron had 57, and he had one with 55.
Oh, so he had 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, so he wins just on that one.
Not necessarily.
Not
it's the 3
necessarily.
highest.
There's one more.
3 highest.
Again,
Higher than
overthinking.
56
Don't
points.
overthink.
Higher than 56 points.
Oh, James Harden.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
So you got that one. So now we'll start with Shea.
Was that his
That's the first
60-point
one I ever
triple-double?
Yeah, he got 60.
It was a 60-point triple-double.
60 with a triple-double. So, all right, your second one is 3 active leaders in postseason assists.
Postseason assist. Tony Parker.
That is one. He has 1,138 assists.
Steve Nash.
Active.
Active. I wish Nash was still playing.
I don't.
He'd be
John
like-
Rondo.
Yep.
Rajon Rondo has 88. He's 3rd.
That's who
So
I
that
was-
counts as one?
Yeah, of
That
course.
counts as
That's
one.
what I was going to say.
Big 3.
Jose Calderon.
No.
LeBron.
There you go.
it.
1501.
Man, I'm going to get to like this game.
1,501.
It's just like in the games. You know, if you win, you look good. If you lose, you look horrible.
All right, Mike's on fire. All right,
think I'm
so
on fire.
this is your 3rd and final category. 3 all-time leaders in points by players under 6 feet tall. Shay,
All-time
start it.
leader in points by players under 6 feet tall.
Shay, you can start it.
Spud Webb.
Spud is 3rd. He has 8,072 points
Then
total.
Isaiah must be there.
Isaiah
Which one?
Thomas. Isaiah
one-
Celtics Thomas.
Yeah.
Celtics
Because
Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas was Pistons was over 6 foot.
Pistons Thomas was over 6 feet.
over
Yeah.
6 feet.
So Isaiah Celtics Thomas was second place, 8,923 points.
Muggsy.
Nope, he was fourth place, 6,858.
Calvin
Calvin Murphy,
Calvin Murphy.
17,900 points.
There you go, Mike.
So
Good
Uncle
job.
Mike just took it home.
Sweep.
Congratulations. He's wearing the medal and he's got the big.
Oh, that's
I
right.
know you don't like
That
my
goes to
stories about them, but I
Sloan,
remember I
though.
told you he was a majorette and he spins to the baton. I know the
Give
one
me
that
my medal back.
I know you gave me trouble on Jerry Lucas with the phone book, so I looked it up. You know, on the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah.
It was a phone book, not of the whole state of New York
like his
City. It
personal
was a
phone
borough, and it was 100 pages out of the phone book. But that's
It's
pretty
still very
impressive.
impressive, yeah,
That's
I
very
mean,
impressive.
100
He was
pages,
a memory
that's
expert,
amazing.
is what he was. He was a memory
I would
expert.
just give him like the encyclopedias and just put him on Jeopardy. And
Yeah,
he'd just
amazing.
go forever.
You would hope so.
So yeah, I get
You
to
get-
wear this all summer then?
No.
No.
What do you mean?
We
Oh,
won
because
the
we're
one.
doing the playoffs.
Yeah, we're doing it every
we
week.
won
We're
the
doing
one,
the same
right?
thing. 1-1. Yep.
Yeah.
We'll go in the playoffs. You were 100% correct until the last two games that we did.
All right.
So we'll get to the series.
All right, let's kick it
Exciting
off.
playoffs
Lots
so
to talk
far.
about.
Hope it's not that one. That one's okay. Least amount of time to spend.
Golden State's good. San
Right.
Antonio's not that good.
Right. I was expecting a tougher game plan and tougher effort to be put in for the Spurs overall. The Warriors ended up winning. I think it was 113-91 or 92. So they won by a pretty handy margin. And you could just tell that the effort was ramped up on the Warriors' end. And I don't know whether it was Pop's rotations or something just looked off about the Spurs.
Well, they say
And
though,
I don't know.
They
I
just
was- I
don't
was
look like
a-
they
Golden
have that much
State
communication
rotation
going
really
on.
threw them off, starting Iguodala.
That was a good move.
It ended up really throwing San Antonio. Because who was the guy that was starting? I don't even know really who it was that was replaced in the last 16 games without Curry.
Quinn Cook. He's been playing well,
He's pretty
though.
good play.
He's been playing well.
But starting Iguodala, he actually became the point guard, right? The way they think. But that was a pretty good move.
And the way that they started off the game, really getting JaVale McGee involved was really
How
unusual
could
as
he
well.
I just that,
What do you have? Like 11 points
9
in the first 20
quarter,
minutes or something
yeah,
like that.
and really, played better than JaVale McGee plays.
Yeah, that's right.
He's always been capable.
We talk
I
about
think he
all
has to
these
stay
teams
focused.
and who can turn the switch on. Looks like Golden State can turn the switch on.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone was doubting them. I mean, Draymond Green was talking a bunch of garbage after the games. Everyone was down on us and thought we were going to lose
Oh,
this
really?
game.
No, everybody's still saying you're going to win.
Yeah, no one's saying any of the things that he's
I
saying.
think with the streak they've had, we were a little down on them.
I mean, saying that you're vulnerable
Yeah.
is a lot different than saying that you're going to lose.
Sometimes,
I mean,
storylines like that sort of like overstate themselves.
Yes.
You know, it's like in the end, look at how dominant they are when they're all out there, and they're going to all be out there by the end of the playoffs. So I
Yeah,
think
we could try
I
to
think
say
the
the
the,
same.
the smartest analytical NBA minds have still been saying like they're definitely the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing.
Right, for sure.
Until proven otherwise.
I still think that the Spurs are going to come back. I mean, Pop's great at game planning and being able to change and pick out weaknesses that he sees after one game in a playoff series. And I don't think that this is going to be a sweep, but I was thinking that this series would be a tough 6 or 7. Now maybe I'm thinking the Spurs will get 1 or 2.
I found that the least interesting game.
Oh, it's not even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
It's just so
I'm not
crazy
looking forward to it
how entertaining all of the East matchups are, and then
Yeah.
you watch the West and it's like, oh, this is crap.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think Portland game was
I think
very
literally
good.
every other game,
Portland, New Orleans
every
was
other
good.
game was watchable, and I thought this one wasn't.
All
that
right,
watchable.
so we got the big three out of the way. We got the Spurs out of the way.
Yeah, good. Philadelphia,
That's a good one.
Miami, one of the more hyped series in terms of which ones you should pay attention to coming in. A lot of people started coming out of the woodworks. The Philly haters, the youth can only get you so far, and it kind of got proven wrong. In the first half, they were neck and
First
neck,
half was
playing
neck and
very
neck.
competitive back and forth. But the second half, Philly shooters in combination with Ben Simmons' ability to penetrate and draw help really just crushed Miami. They ended up, I think they won by 30. It was 130 to 102 or something
Yep.
like that. Absolutely blowing out.
Bellinelli and
Redick, Ilyasova, and Saric all shot above like 50% from the
I
three-point
think
line.
they actually might have hit. They scored 73%. Those three guys, 73
Yeah.
points. The three guys.
No,
Redick and,
they all went off.
Bellinelli
It was a
and
very
Saric.
exciting game to watch, even though it was a blowout. It was very entertaining. Ben Simmons looked remarkable. I think he had 17, 9, and 14.
Very interesting.
most
player.
assists in a playoff
What I
game
found
since-
interesting about Simmons was the defensive strategy to play way off him. From me to Sloan or more all the time because he can't shoot. And then that works against you because then he's just standing out there and he looks over the top anyways and he finds guys because nobody's contesting anything that he's doing. He's a tough guy to play.
I think that I was underwhelmed with Eric Spoelstra's coaching job and what matchups he was throwing and what type of sets the team was running. I was underwhelmed. I thought Brett Brown did a great job and I was impressed by his ATOs and like start of the quarter plays and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought Simmons played remarkably, and he looked like he was the best player in the series. And I think you got to get up into him, allowing him to have a head of steam coming at you puts you at such a disadvantage. You forcing someone to shoot only works if their other skills are also limited to where they will be forced to shoot if you're leaving them space.
He's not
giving him space isn't forcing him to shoot. That's forcing him to drive down your face.
He's not even looking to shoot.
He doesn't make that mistake of shooting.
It is a silly mistake that they're making because he gets a quick first step on you or he gets a full head of steam or like you said, he's got visibility on the whole court. Because he's already so tall. It is kind of silly.
I
agree with you on Spoelstra's coaching. And you can't have coaching lapses when you don't really have that many go-to players.
That's true.
Like Philly's got
he needs to be consistent.
Philly's got like 5 go-to players who can at least knock down a jumper.
Right.
And at most, like,
I think
create
potentially
for
that series is going to flip. And I think that on Miami, it's happened many times before. I've seen it with the Celtics and Lakers a number of times. You lose by 30 in the first game, you win the second game. And I think I'm calling that. I think you're going to see Miami play a real strong game tonight, and they'll flip that 30-point.
You could tell that they were really confused with the rotation on how and when to use Whiteside when he was in the game, and maybe
Whiteside didn't even play very much.
Yeah, he only played like 13 minutes.
He hasn't been playing.
Maybe that'll become more clear when Embiid comes back because that gives Whiteside more of a place to be on the court. But with Simmons, his handle isn't extraordinary, but when you give him that space to come at you, he can do more creative things with the ball. I think if you are up in his grill with your face in his jersey, if you throw James Johnson on him or Justice Winslow, depending on who has foul trouble, whatever it is, and force him to make ball handling moves in tight spaces, and just force him to be able to beat you by a dribble, which he will every once in a while because he's probably going to be stronger than all those guys, but then be able to depend on your help defense. I mean, Kelly Olynyk isn't a great rim protector, but he's a good help defender. Bam Adebayo has shown to be an athletic vertical defender at the rim, and Whiteside is too. I think that we're going to see different defensive just like things thrown at Simmons that he's seen so far, but what we've seen from game one is that he dominates that. So I think I still would probably pick Philly tonight, and then after that, you're starting to deal with whether or not Embiid's going to come back. And I think with Embiid coming back, I don't think that having Whiteside playing more is going to help the Heat. And I think that it is going to confuse the rotation.
I don't think they even need Embiid back right now.
Yes, they do.
I don't know. Not against this team.
You're never as good as you look when you're winning by 30. You're never as bad as you look when you lose by 30. And I think we'll see tonight.
The Heat look like an unremarkable.
Much closer series than that game played.
They look like a boring Utah Jazz team.
So one thing I was throwing out to Shea was
they're supposed to be better defensively, and they're
a bunch of players were playing in their first playoff game through these 8 games across the league. Lots of players, and I think Simmons might have had the best game of any first game performance. I think there's other players that had a good game too, but Simmons might have had the best game of anybody playing the first playoff.
That's tough.
In terms of the storyline of his individual stat line and also of his effect on the players that were so substantially responsible for the victory of the Sixers and his effect on that, like I think his head and shoulders the best performance. I mean, we'll talk about Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell played well. Tatum played really well.
Yeah,
too.
But I agree with I think everyone played well.
It's hard to.
I think Ben Simmons' effect on his team win and the ability that he had on the shots that Redick was getting, on the shots that Covington was getting, despite that crazy, arduous, crazy travel. That was like one of the craziest travel I've seen in the NBA.
Not as crazy.
You see that travel?
Yeah, but that wasn't as crazy as Giannis, boy. That was
crazy.
We'll talk about that when we get
travel
there.
Was crazier than Giannis's travel.
He might be my chump of the week, Giannis. Jesus, he complains a lot.
But
for somebody who gets away with murder.
I think moving forward in this series, what do you expect to see in terms of changes from Philly and from Miami, and who do you think wins this series? Does it change your perspective?
Who wins it? I think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think Miami's getting one game out of that.
I think they get one.
Philly is so.
You think if
Miami's going to win tonight?
Oh my God!
I'll take it one game at a time. I still believe in Spoelstra. I think that first half.
Brett Brown might be a better coach than Eric Spoelstra. He might be.
Well, you don't like Spoelstra, and I like Spoelstra. I think Spoelstra's a better coach.
Shea's been given a little bit more credit
in
the
first
past.
half, it certainly looked like Miami was going to compete. in the second half, that shooting was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, that's sustainable.
I mean, you're
That's
not going to shoot like Redick and Saric and Bellinelli shot. That was lights out the way they were shooting. I think that snowballed, and I think you're going to see a difference tonight. And I don't know going forward from here tonight. I don't know. Philadelphia's the better team. Are we going to see Embiid this series?
Yeah, he'll be back. I mean,
that'll be interesting.
He's not going to play tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was back for Game 3.
I think Miami should play Simmons differently, just like you're saying. I think they should play him.
I think they will. I don't know if they will.
Put James Johnson on him though. They need James Johnson to create offensively, so you can't get him in
But I mean, it's tough.
Right?
I mean, that's their best defensive matchup for him. I mean, Justice Winslow is young, and I mean, he has some like defensive qualities
They
that
don't
are
have enough
promising.
answers for Philly.
No, they don't. I don't think so either. Yeah, we can talk about Boston, Milwaukee. So the Celtics win probably the most exciting game of all the playoffs. Overtime victory, 113-107 versus the Bucks after just a fantastic step back. He caught Eric Bledsoe sleeping on the final possession of regulation.
He looked like a baby Harden.
Yeah.
That step back was insane.
What was he looking at? Was he looking for somebody to come screen?
No, because Jalen was coming off a back screen, and I bet you he was overthinking it, watching to see where the screener would be coming from. And I think he was just predicting that it was that the play was for Jalen.
So if
the play was for Jalen.
I think everybody, even Bledsoe, knew that the play was for Jalen. That's
right,
why
that's
Bledsoe was so caught up.
I think if we were looking for guys who played their first playoff game that played the worst, Bledsoe's right up to the top.
Bledsoe played terrible. Oh my God, he was so bad. I thought Brad had a great strategy coming in on how to defend both Bledsoe and Giannis, and on how to go at those two guys. And I think being able to attack those guys and force them into foul trouble, especially with Al Horford and with those other guys, and really putting them in difficult situations where Prunty was forced to make coaching decisions on when to play a player, what rotations to use because of his better options being in foul trouble, was a really smart decision to put the pressure on Prunty. And I thought Brad did a great job.
But I thought defensively, I think offensively they took it to Giannis, and they did a nice job with that. Defensively, I'm looking for more physicality from that team, from the Celtics team. I'm looking I'm almost looking for a takedown on Giannis when he's coming straight down the middle like that, and nobody touches him, nobody even goes near him, and he comes all the way through and dunks like that. Hey, put Yubusele in there. Put somebody in there. That guy needs to be physically. Now, I'm not talking about a Kevin McHale takedown, but I think, and nobody's got that character on him. Smart probably would, but I think Yubusele or Shemi could.
Yabusele spent some time on him. I love Yabusele out there. He
didn't play at all though.
Semi.
Oh, Semi, yeah. Yabusele, not so much. Semi Ojeleye, I love him out there. He bodied him a little bit. He was helping out on rebounds. And I think that if you get in on him and you start playing a little bully ball on him, Al Horford was posting him up a few times, Giannis, I think he gets a little worked up. And it's good to get him worked.
I don't want to see him coming down the middle.
He's definitely like a fiery guy.
Wide open down the middle for a slam.
You can
dunk.
tell
the second possession in overtime. Yeah, he just streaked right in.
I mean, you can tell
somebody should have hit him on that.
I mean, you can tell that he's immensely talented, obviously, and especially when he's
also a kid.
But
he's still a kid.
when he's defending the post, and you can tell Al's taking his time. He's shifting to see where Giannis's weight is, and you can tell he's working it and deciding what to do. That's going to be the most logical move. And Giannis, despite all of his explosiveness, his length, and his athleticism, his IQ can only bring him so far in a post battle with another high IQ player. And you can see that Horford did a great job at taking advantage of that. And Giannis succeeded sometimes, and there was other plays where he reached around and poked the ball out. But more often than not, I like that pressure that we're applying to Giannis in that manner. Other players, I thought Terry had a great game. We spoke about the step back. He was our most dynamic player in the overtime session. I think he had
clutch.
I think he had 9 points with 3 free throws and a 3 in the overtime. Maybe 6.
He still sometimes gets a little sloppy. He gets He gets a little excited and makes a tough pass. And I think
he's not much of a playmaker yet.
I think the gentleman and scholar Brown and Tatum do that too. I think sometimes they're guilty of throwing.
JB.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. Either way. But the cross court passes, I'm so sick of seeing that. And Brad must like go crazy when he sees a cross court pass in like an overtime situation. But Rozier played.
I thought Rozier played well, and I think with him, and he's saying it himself, he's still learning. He's still learning how to be a point guard. I thought at the beginning of that game, he actually was getting that offense in sync and was not shooting the ball, but he was doing a much better job of facilitating the offense. I thought there were 2 turning points in that game that the Celtics fought off momentum unbelievably. I thought Larkin let them back in the game with his 2 turnovers. Those 2 turnovers
Larkin was
really
terrible
bad.
in the first half. He was good in the
They
second half.
changed the momentum completely, and look at that second quarter, what it went. It happened with those 2 turnovers right there, turned it. They recovered from that, and then the second half, I thought when Giannis, they were down 6. When he drove that ball, and they should have either a coach, like in football, can throw a flag or something. That travel by Giannis was just so bad that there's no way that, I mean, his feet hit the floor, boom, 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 without the ball touching the floor. They should be able to review that and take it away. And then he shoots 2 foul shots. That was a momentum
I think he
changer
gets
there.
such superstar treatment at such a young age. It's crazy. There was at one point in time where he dribbled twice, squared up, and then dribbled again, and they of course called a double dribble,
Yeah.
but
It took a while.
But they called it like 3 seconds after he made his move.
It took a while.
Horford was still defending him, and then they call, that's a double dribble, and he's complaining.
Yeah.
He's the only one that I've
I know
ever seen
sometimes as a
complain about
ref,
a clear double dribble.
when that happens to you when you're officiating, it's like, did that really just happen? That's what goes through in your head.
Yeah, this
Did
guy's
he just
supposed to be a
dribble twice? And it's
superstar?
like,
Like-
you want to be so careful not to miss it, and that it's not in your
And
head
then he
anymore.
goes over the back.
But they recovered from
He
that
goes over
momentum.
the back on Tatum. They call a jump ball.
That was a great rebound by Tatum.
Unbelievable rebound. Tatum plays such a spectacular
He
game
played
for
a
a
wonderful
20-year-old.
game.
He's
He
unbelievable.
may have been equal with Simmons out there. He took it in clutch situations. He took it when they needed it.
I mean, that first
if he scored
5-minute
one more-
stretch of the fourth quarter, he really went off. He took the load all on his shoulders. Offensively, he was a creator.
If he scored
Defensively,
one
he was
more
impressive.
point, they
He
would
was
have-
And then in
playmaking. He had nice
overtime,
threads.
with like a second left on the shot clock, he
reverse
has to make a reverse layup.
Beautiful.
Julius
Really.
Irving layup.
And
Very
I think that was an
innovative, very
and one,
hard,
too.
with Giannis on him on that play too, right?
It's
Where
Giannis.
Yeah,
Giannis.
say whatever you
Where
want.
he, huh?
Giannis.
Why? What am I saying?
The
Giannis.
G is silent.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever, the Greek guy like that. If Tatum scored one more point,
call
they
him
would
the
have
freak.
5 guys with 20 points.
Yeah, I mean,
That was very
Horford played
unusual.
fantastic. He was aggressive.
Probably the best game he's played as a Celtic.
Maybe he's been reserving it for the playoffs, knowing that we're going to need his
He
contributions.
did
here
hit
more.
13 or 14 foul shots, so that's where he got a lot of
He
his
looked
points.
almost like
I mean,
Dirk out there. on the
that
free throw
helps.
line.
And that's
played
nature.
well, he
That's
played
nature
well.
of the scheme, and then it's nature
Morris
of,
played
of
well.
him doing that.
Morris
Morris-
played well. Morris had a slow start.
But that was
in
a
the
clutch.
second
Those
half,
were clutch
That was a
shots.
classic
he
Morris
hit.
game.
the-
Classic
Really
Morris
the
game.
clutch
Celtics
shots.
need him to score like that.
He's
He's
a
become
scorer.
one of their, great clutch scorers.
What
Unfortunately,
a clutch shot by Middleton. I got it about 37 feet.
Yep.
Perfect form jump shot with 0.5 seconds left.
It's unusual because usually he loads up and he
Wasn't
has
it
kind
from
of
the
a slow,
Jerry West logo?
He usually
right?
has a pretty slow. He has a slow
Beautiful
release,
jump
so
shot
it was
that
remarkable
was.
that he was able to get that
Wow.
off
I
in
can't
time.
believe he was
And
able
they
to get
recovered
it
from
off
that
in half a
momentum
second.
too. So that says a lot about the Celtics. All those times in that game where the momentum switched, that they didn't cave, that they stayed with. They could have easily lost that game, obviously.
Well, to a better team, they would have.
I
I mean,
think-
they were up
Yeah.
9 with under 5 minutes left, and they let them push it into overtime. I would still like to see them close that game out in regulation, but it's an exciting win. It was definitely the game of the opening weekend.
Right. I mean, we'll see how Prunty responds and see if he actually realizes that his best lineup is with Giannis at center. That lineup only played like 6 minutes.
What a terrible name he's got.
Oh,
Prunty.
yeah. I mean, whatchamacallit? John Henson, their center, played like 38 minutes. It was the most minutes he would have
did.
played all season. And I mean,
he was gassed.
And he was exhausted, and his like what he offers in terms of value for the Milwaukee Bucks is just not necessary if you can
I
replace
thought
it
Malcolm
by
Brogdon
having
played
another
really
player on
well.
the court.
And he's potentially a Celtics killer. Brogdon,
He always plays
consistently
great. He
making
plays great
plays against the Celtics.
Well, that's the thing. That's
should've never-
who
He
expects
played well in the
it.
first half without scoring.
They should have never let him have that wide open three.
Well, that was a defensive collapse. That was really tricky.
I would have almost rather somebody just grabs Giannis on the inbound.
Yeah, I mean, that would've been-
you're
that
up
would've been
3 with 12 seconds to go.
Right.
Just put him on the line. Play a free throw battle.
It's okay, Terry. We got Terry in the back pocket. So
You know
he's
what?
ready to
We
do that.
only lost about 3 games all season in which we out-rebounded our opponent. We
Right.
out-rebounded them, and we had 11 offensive rebounds.
I'm not too
That's a
concerned
great
about
effort.
potentially losing rebounding battles to them in the future. They're not that strong of a rebounding team. They don't have that many
And
big
I like
bodies.
the effort Greg Monroe put in.
Yeah, he didn't have a great game, but I agree.
But he makes good little plays that you don't really talk about that much. Like his high-low passing is good. He catches tough balls sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't expect that much from him.
That's
but,
true.
Veteran leadership.
I think through and through, it was a mixed bag of good and bad for both teams. I think that we can't expect that strong of a game from Middleton moving forward, but we can also...
He averaged 20 a game this year.
Yeah, but that was one of his most efficient games,
Yep.
and he was contributing on the defensive end as well. I think he had like 8 or 9 assists. Like he's performing above his mean, and he can reach that level. I mean, obviously we've seen that, but
Surprised
that's not the
Jabari
way
Parker isn't at a different level.
Well, so you said you're surprised that Brogdon didn't get as many minutes as...
No, I just said he played well. I'm not surprised he didn't get minutes.
Well, I
he's
think
just coming off the injury list, so I just think he played well.
The Giannis at center lineup unlocks the ability to play Brogdon and Jabari more minutes together on the floor, and it adds this dynamism that otherwise they don't have. And I'm surprised that Prunty and the coaching staff doesn't realize that they should have Brogdon in the game over John Henson, or Jabari in the game over John Henson.
Well, Prunty looks perplexed half the time. Every time they cut to him,
he looks
he's going like
confused.
this.
Yeah.
Like, are you breaking out in hives?
Yeah. So moving forward, I mean, Bledsoe isn't going to... This is one of his worst games ever.
He almost looked like Leonardo DiCaprio in the Basketball Diaries. Like, are you on something? Like, he drove on Tatum. He didn't have a step on him. He didn't have any separation, and Tatum just like, I've got you.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like you blocking like your
He was one
nephew
frustrated player. The attitude was coming out on him and everything on Bledsoe.
I mean, he had like 5 turnovers, 6 fouls, and I think like 3 assists. Like it was one.
I've never been a fan.
He was Uncle Mike's pick for top turnovers last week.
That's
in the
true.
Big Three. So.
Yeah, it's a good point. So moving forward, I think that it'll balance out in terms of their production, but I think that Brad is just the trump card in the entire series, and I think that our contributions can come from so many different areas with who we can hope to step up for a game. We'll see tomorrow how we play in game 2, but watching this game, even though it was tightly contested and it took us until overtime to take them down, before this game 1, I was expecting it to be a 6-game series. I might lean closer to 5 now. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable.
I don't know. I mean, you see that second quarter. I mean, I texted you guys that we were getting outscored 26-4 in the second quarter.
But that was more about us not being able to score.
And we still, I don't know. They run a couple of ISO plays for Giannis, and he pulls like one of those big spin moves, and he gets him back in the game pretty quickly.
I think it's going to be a tight series.
It helps having him.
I think this might be a 6 or 7 game
I think it might be too.
We'll see. We can move on.
But it'll be fun to watch.
That's right.
Cleveland,
Indiana. LeBron James and no one else lost by 18 points to the Indiana Pacers. 98-80. Miserable offensive performance by everyone on the Cavs except for J.R. Smith and LeBron.
Well, I think everyone else lost it. LeBron really doesn't deserve that.
I mean, Indiana had a great game. Oladipo played fantastic. He was able to he was really able to nitpick what was going to be the problem on the defensive end from the Cavs. The full force drive down your throat and then pull up when the defense gets terrified and backs up is like he's got that down pat. And Cleveland was embarrassing themselves left and right when he brought that out. Bogdanovich didn't play that well, and
I thought he played okay.
I didn't think he was that great, but Miles Turner and Lance had other games.
Bogdanovich was non-existent.
First quarter.
I think he was 1 of 9 from 3.
I understand, but first quarter, what that team did, and I would talk about it a little bit, is that they brought physicality to LeBron James that I'd never seen with Stevenson. Stevenson played him as physical as I've ever seen LeBron play, and as a team, they demolished him physically.
Bogdanovich did.
Cleveland showed very soft play from guys they were expecting to be soft. But I mean, Thaddeus Young was tough. I agree. So many guys on that team. Sabonis that they play, and you look at Oladipo, and he's kind of a little bit of a soft player. You kind of look at him, but there's so many guys on that team that make up for him that they are a hard playing unit.
What's weird is those guys did play really hard, and they had a very aggressive game. But when I'm comparing Larry Nance and Tristan Thompson and George Hill to Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner and Bogdanovich, I am saying the first 3 are much more gritty and aggressive players than the others.
Miles
and
Turner
didn't show. And it didn't show at all, and it was embarrassing.
Miles Turner actually was top 3 in blocks this year, though.
Yeah, but they're all weak side blocks. He's not a rim protector based off of size.
Turner was even the top 5 as far as physicality on the other team. They really had a bunch of guys that were playing hard on that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, Lance Stevenson.
They were all helping each other too. It was great team defense.
I think that
I don't like Lance Stevenson.
I think that their mentality was what they needed to have to win that game, and I think that Cleveland walked in thinking it was going to be an easy series, and every single one, oh my God, so many just miserable performances. Jeff Green pooped the bed.
But
George Hill, terrible.
Soft player.
But I mean,
I know.
But is Jeff Green from game in, game out? Are you surprised that he would have a softer game than Darren Collison. Like, I'm not.
Why
is he
Collison was
taking
flat out.
threes?
You see him dive for that ball?
Yeah, I did, but I'm telling you,
based
off of everything that I know of those two players, I'm not going to blatantly say that Collison's a
I just
way
don't
more
understand
gritty.
why do they continue to let Jeff Green shoot 22-footers?
That's how he plays.
I don't know. It's LeBron is driving and kicking it out. He doesn't have enough shot makers.
No, he has.
Rodney
he has
Hood
no
played
shot makers.
awful. Jeff Green played awful.
I think LeBron is wishing he took 10 games off during the season, but man, are they going to wear him down?
Well,
that series is going to.
I don't think it's about LeBron. It's about his teammates.
Well, yeah, but
he's going to be
he
really,
can't play
really
that
tired.
hard. He can't take that. Okay. What's he going to have left if they make it through this series? He's getting beat up.
I don't know why, but I actually feel really bad for him.
For LeBron?
Point. Yep. And Stevenson hit him right in the head.
Yes.
Yeah. Why didn't they call a flagrant?
They called a technical.
Where was the technical?
After reviewing
what was the tech?
Well, they called it because I guess he had already gotten fouled, and then after the foul was called,
right at his
then
head.
he hit him in the head.
The ball was that
but
far
he
away
should've-
from
I think he
where
should
his
have
arm
gotten
went.
2 free throws and the ball. Instead, it's 3 free throws, and then Indy gets the ball. Well, why wouldn't they just hit him in the head every time?
Right, that's very true.
It's crazy.
I mean, LeBron did what was going to look like a comeback, and he was carrying them back to, I think they came within 7 in the fourth quarter, but then Indiana just separated themselves. I mean, the rest of the team was awful. Tristan Thompson is just a tragedy.
What happened to him?
What happened to him? He cheated on his
pregnant
baby mama, and he's an outcast now. He's an outcast.
I
The
didn't know she
Kardashian
was
curse.
pregnant at all.
She had the kid when the
What,
story
are you going
came
to some
out.
hookah lounge
Yeah,
for
I know,
a Tinder
I know.
hookup?
I don't know.
But why
It's
can't he
terrible.
play?
Because he's an
jeez.
embarrassment,
They could
and
use
he's
some physicality from him.
and he's mentally imploding. That's
I
why.
thought
What
George
do you
Hill was.
mean? Like,
What happened to George Hill? Why isn't he?
George Hill,
when you got to
terrible.
play
Every
Jose
single one of these
Calderon,
players awful.
they're playing him in a default position. Calderon shouldn't be on that court.
Jeff Green, 0
Tristan
for
Thompson's
7.
gonna
Kevin
end
Love,
up in
3
the
for
G
8.
League.
Hood didn't
Kevin
play
Love,
well.
the only other potential
Love
all-star on that
played.
team, shot 8 shots. Rodney Hood went 4 for 8, but it was not a pretty 4 for 8. That was a disgusting 4 for 8.
It was the
George
end of
Hill,
the game. He hit a couple
yes,
threes at the
exactly.
end. Other than that,
4
it
for
was
0 for
nothing.
3. Larry Nance went 5 for 7, but it was
played
extremely.
hard.
Yeah, he might have played the hardest, but he was still soft. I mean, this Cavs roster looks terrible.
I don't know why they're not starting J.R. Smith, but I guarantee you they're going to think about doing that for game 2 because he is one of the only ones that has the confidence to go out there and take good open
That guy-
shots and bang them down.
The problem is
He
that
has been playing well in the past
He hits
month
some
and a
shots.
half.
I understand, but that guy is potty too long and too hard for too long, and he's burnt too. I don't think J.R. Smith's got
that's the
anything.
problem with J.R. Smith is that he just contributed his 15 points on big made shots that he's going to do
He had
one
some
every
good
3
shots.
games. He just wasted it on this baloney teammate performance for the rest of his squad. So now coming into the next game, I wouldn't be surprised if he went 2 for 8. And like they need contributions
But it's
outside of LeBron
we're talking
James.
about how awful the Cavs played. They still made some runs. Like at the end of that third quarter, I think they trimmed it down to like a 7-point lead.
Right, yes.
Kevin Love had an and 1 3. LeBron had taken like 3 drives in a row and gotten right to the hole. I mean, what was Indy was shooting like 10 of 23 from 3 at that point.
Right.
And they have to play that well in order to beat the Cavs. I think the Cavs still have the ability to
they
get
scored
through.
80
Absolutely.
points.
I mean, other than
they
Ben
averaged
Bogdanovich.
100.
I think we can
50
all
a game,
agree
they
that this
scored
is
80.
LeBron's last dance.
Other
in
than
Cleveland.
I think so. Other than Bogdanovich, every single Indiana Pacer had a pretty optimal game. They played a very, very strong game. Everyone played above what they were expected to be playing, besides Bogdanovich. So moving forward,
this is only
I don't even
Indiana's.
mind how Bogdanovich played. I really don't, because
Did you
I
know
think
this
he
is
played real hard.
Indiana's second time that they've been actually televised? Nationally?
I did not
They
know
had
that.
one nationally
well, yeah, it's because
televised
everyone was
game
expecting
all
to win
year.
30 games. Like that's why.
So,
I mean,
like half of the
Most
country is like,
improved
who are
coach
these
maybe
guys?
going to McMillan as if you're going to give a most improved coach. All of a sudden,
that's not a word.
I love Nate
They only scored
McMillan.
80 points. That team averages.
yeah, but
100.
that says so much more about Cleveland.
It
to
does.
me.
I understand that, but I mean that might be legitimate defense that they're seeing, and I don't know who on.
I didn't see great defense though.
Who on? It's physicality.
Yes,
and
I
who,
saw physicality.
And who on Cleveland's team, other than LeBron, is going to get physical with that group of Indiana players? I don't know who's going to do it.
Well, it
who's going
should
to
be
do it?
Nance.
They should start Nance then.
I honestly think that if you
Where's
play
George Hill?
if you play this game
Nance
out,
can't score.
I honestly think if you play this game out for 7 more games like they're about to do, and Cleveland's supporting cast around LeBron doesn't show up just like they did I think that Cleveland would still win 4 games. I think that LeBron James is good enough that he can carry a bunch of misfits that are performing so far below their expectations against this Indiana team where Oladipo is a bona fide all-star. He deserves consideration on all NBA teams this year, but the rest of this roster is young. They played gritty in 1 game. They're not. I don't trust McMillan as a playoff coach with good mentalities and good X's and O's. I think that it's going to catch up to them. This is great. I think they're probably going to get whomped in game 2. I think they'll probably win a couple more games. This could be a 7-game series, but I don't think it matters. I'm not straying away from picking LeBron to win
They need to take the ball out of Depot's hands, or at least eliminate the chances for him to split the double team and coming off the high screen, because he's just setting up so many great plays.
Yeah.
And when he's knocking down 6 of 7 threes in a stretch, or he's finding open players over and over and over, like, how do you not realize that he's the one beating you?
I think
they were
Miami,
trading punches. Depot and Braun were trading punches.
I think Indiana's legit.
He's a great player.
And I think that defense they're playing, I haven't seen
They're gonna get more
LeBron played
games
like
next year.
that. They were ganging LeBron physically so that LeBron was hit virtually every time down the court hard.
Yeah.
And I haven't ever seen LeBron have to work that hard for what he got. And that wasn't just because Cleveland guys weren't playing. That was because Indiana's defense, and they may be able to keep that going.
So I don't think they can keep it going. And I think that LeBron attempted 14 free throws on Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised in Game 2 if he attempted closer to 20. I think that the physicality that you're seeing from Lance Stevenson is part of his mentality, and he lives for nothing as much as he lives for playing LeBron James in the playoffs. And he had his goofy antics. He had a ferocious dunk, a clutch 3, and a couple other big plays. But you didn't notice the awful plays where he made so many stupid mistakes because they were winning by 18. And I think it's going to come down to it where it's a closer game, and Lance Stevenson is going to just make a blunder, and something embarrassing is going to happen. And those are the moments. And then if they look past him, Miles Turner is going to get bodied in the post by Kevin Love. And then if you look past him, Bogdanovich is not going to be able to handle LeBron on a switch. And if you look past him, Darren Collison is going to make a turnover. If you look past him, Thaddeus Young is going to be underwhelming because his entire career has been underwhelming. Oladipo is a fantastic story, but he can't carry the Indiana Pacers past the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I mean, Jeff Van Gundy, he summed it up. He was like defense, aggressiveness, and playmaking with your hands. Like making it happen with their hands. That's what won this game. And Depot.
Right. I mean, moving forward, it's obvious that the Pacers have no one. They have no one to throw at LeBron. I mean, no one does. But
what do you mean? Defensively, Stevenson plays him well.
I don't think he does.
I think he does.
I don't. I think that. I think
he
that
stays in front.
He's
like Shemmy. He's built just like Shemmy is. He's tough.
But he's like 6'2". Like
I don't know. He's all 6'4".
Lance Stevenson.
Yeah, I would say he's all 6'4". And he's also, the way he's built physically. I mean, he's thick. And
I don't think that LeBron is scared of Lance Stevenson as the
but
primary
he's getting
defender.
lots of help with it. I know he's not afraid.
He's 6'5".
They need to get him in foul trouble. I think they need to get Stevenson in foul trouble.
That shouldn't be too hard. I don't know. I don't think my perspective on this series has changed at all. I think initially I said that Cavs win in 5. Now I'm going to say Cavs win in 6.
LeBron James is 48-7 all time in the first round.
Yeah, that was the first game one he's lost.
He's only won this year.
First game one loss.
We can move on.
Did that one?
Yes, we did. What have we done? 4 of them? I don't even remember. There you go.
That was a beautiful game.
Portland at New Orleans.
I was going to say that was a beautiful spin.
One of the
beautiful spin.
The
beautiful game.
The closest game out of any of the first round games. New Orleans Pelicans beat the Portland Trailblazers at home, 97-95. They had really a strong first half from the Pelicans. Anthony Davis was his usual MVP candidate itself.
Can we just call them the unibrows? Because he's the man.
Mirotic was having a great game. Defensively, he impressed me. Holiday deserves all the credit in the world as an All-NBA defensive player. And I thought they played an awesome game, neutralizing to their best of ability C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard, who both had awful first halves. Dame came around in the second half a little bit, but both those players had a game that you're not going to get more than one time in a 7-game series. I thought that this game was a great job by Pelicans to steal away home court, and it's going to make this series even more interesting. I think these teams are very evenly matched, and I think that them missing Mo Harkless, Portland, actually was a kind of not a difference maker, but he would have helped in this game. What did you guys see?
Yeah, I think this is the matchup of the West right now.
Yes.
I think this is really exciting to watch, not just because Anthony Davis just keeps getting better, and he is the future of the league. I really liked what I saw out of Rajon Rondo, too. He was...
Playoff Rondo.
He was pretty awesome. Rondo's teams are 9-2 in the postseason when he gets at least 15 assists. He had 17 last night.
I believe that.
He was really good. He's a silent leader too. Like you see in the little breakaways in the group huddles, they're all looking at him when he's talking. And I never thought he would be an actual leader.
He's a high IQ player.
Seeing him when the big
high
three
IQ
left, he was. Yeah, I know he's high IQ,
prepares.
but he's not an emotionally sound
absolutely.
leader.
He's not.
So,
but he's a veteran on that team.
but
so I
after
guess
the
they're-
game, Davis said, "We call him playoff Rondo for a reason. He turns it up. When we have to be calmed down, he calms us down because we're a young team. Kicks it into overdrive, and he said, "I'm glad he's
Has a
on my
hard time
team."
finishing.
Yeah, I think
he
that-
always had a little bit of a hard, but he has a hard time finishing. See the one he took under the hoop and he just threw it straight up.
Right. Rondo as your fourth best player on a playoff team, that's fine because he's gonna offer
nice
things that
assists.
his contributions will help. I mean,
nice assists.
him as a creator, his vision is great.
Him and Davis work well
His
together
defense is inconsistent, but every once in a while he's there and he'll be able to get a stop. But I mean, he played great. And as your
Yeah,
fourth best
like
player,
you
that's great.
said, like McCollum is never going to play that bad
he
again
played
in a
terrible.
playoff game. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen him have.
They both McCollum and Lillard caught fire a little bit in the fourth quarter.
Lillard more so.
Yeah.
You guys tell me, 12 seconds left in the game, and off the bench, you're going to have Leonard rolling into the hoop
I hated that.
when you got
I
2-3.
hated
And then when it goes out of bounds,
hated
you're
it.
going to run Connaughton to the hoop for a 2. When you got Lillard and you got McCollum out there, when you need 3 to tie, what was that? That
I've
was
seen a
bad
lot of
coaching.
I've seen a lot of
it
questionable
wasn't
late
bad
game
coaching.
I
just didn't like that they
Leonard
put
hadn't
Leonard in the
played.
game. That's what was weird. I didn't hate the play.
Connaughton-
The point of the play is to
Connaughton
draw-
had a good
when they
game.
got 3-point shooters like that, they should have been going. 12 seconds left.
I mean, that's what they were doing. You don't think that guy was a decoy rolling to the hoop trying to draw in attention to him?
I
And
think
if he was
they
wide
called the
open, you
play.
might as well throw a layup to him. I think that's not the play isn't the problem. It's the fact that they brought Myers Leonard who played 0 minutes off the bench for it. That's what I drew issue
Yeah.
with. But I mean, a couple things go wrong, and Portland absolutely wins this game. Maybe if that was Nurkic instead of whatchamacallit.
They have a hard time playing Nurkic with Davis on the floor.
Yeah.
That's a real bad matchup for them.
He is
The
bad.
other thing that New Orleans had a real hard time with was they gave up a lot of offensive rebounds, and they were really aggressive rebounds that Portland was getting all over the place constantly. They were getting offensive
Yeah,
rebounds.
tips. I mean, they tip him back to the guards.
Yeah,
a
they were
lot.
chasing him down. I mean, Rondo looked like this. I know Mirotic's got some rebounds.
Mirotic
for
had
them,
a good game.
but I don't think he's a rebounder.
he's
I
not.
know he has got 10 rebounds in the last 5 or 6 games, but I don't think he's a rebounder. He leaks out a lot, tries to get out.
I mean, he's a 2 and a 5
and
spot.
actually leaves him
He
with
makes- he
Rondo
makes some
back there
dumb-
with Davis to rebound. Rondo and Holiday with Davis to rebound, and they were getting
Mirotic
killed.
makes some dumb plays in penetration too.
Not a
Like
high
he dribbles into a group of people and then tries to dish it off. Like,
Who?
okay, Mirotic.
Yeah.
He makes some very dumb plays.
He's got no conscience, boy. He was letting it fly. That was a beautiful 3-pointer he hit from Rondo coming down where
Yes.
it was just coming straight down. Boy.
I know what you're talking about.
He's a good match for that team.
I
and
like-
I enjoyed that
I'm not
game
too
a
worried
lot.
about Portland though. They do have a lot of great role players that come off the bench. I saw Davis was playing well.
like that,
Connaughton
yeah.
was
He got some
was playing
rebounds.
pretty well. Collins hit a big
Collins has
3.
really improved.
Collins
I mean,
made
when you
some,
think of where he was
some
at the beginning
things
of the
happen.
season, he's improved an awful lot.
Yeah. He looks like he's going to be a solid rotational
They
player.
got great fans in Portland too. I think that's
Well,
one
they
of the
have
best,
since
one of the best-
1978 when
yeah, okay.
Walton gave them the championship.
Shout out.
Even back then, they've always had a movie theater on the side that they filled with people while the game's going on at their. They've always had. They've had that since '78. Even when they've been down, they've had unbelievable fans.
And then you go
support in
down
Portland.
to like Washington D.C. and it's
Hmm.
like there's more jerseys for the opposing team than theirs. Like, how are these fans so awful?
It's true. What do you think? I mean, before the game, I thought this was going to be a 7-game series that could have gone every way. I still think the same thing. Maybe Portland is
I hope so, at
less
least.
likely to win now. But do you think?
It looks like a very entertaining series. I really enjoyed the game. When you're watching Giannis and you're watching Davis and then you watch Durant. Boy, these 7-footers out there, they are amazing players. I don't even know who's better. I mean, Davis was unbelievable how good he was.
He's remarkable.
And so I enjoy watching him. And I expect Lillard and McCollum are going to have different games than they had in that game there. So I think Portland might still have the edge with them, but that looks like a 7-game series to me.
7 games.
Drew Holiday looks pretty awesome, though.
He's great.
I got to mirror what you said earlier. His
Great
defense,
defensive play.
he had
That
a
block on
great
Connaughton was
block.
awesome.
Block the pin.
Was
The
that
defensive
on
play
Collins or
that Doris
Connaughton?
Burke called when the
like
offense
Doris.
was coming straight at him, and he went up with 2 hands and stopped the ball and chased down the loose ball.
Yeah.
I never knew he was a defensive player.
No, he's like a
I know.
When Damian Lillard thought that he was going to absorb contact and he just kind of pulled the rug out, and then Damian Lillard was not focused at all on the shot at that
And
point.
they still got the offensive rebound, didn't they? On
Yeah.
that?
They did.
They still did.
It's an interesting series to look forward to in the coming days, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. That's a
All
good
right,
one.
let's see if you get a good spin. We
got
might
a
have
couple.
to, might have to
It's
plant.
tough to spin
Might have
now,
to
but you
plant.
got-
I'll be very impressed.
Strategy.
Oh, big
pick
spin,
one.
big spin, big spin, big spin.
Pick one. Hey, it's going to be very difficult for him to do this.
Good job, good
Got
job.
it.
Okay.
Great job. All right, Houston at Minnesota, a surprisingly close game. I believe the final score was 104-101. Houston, led by James Harden, had a big game, 44, 4 and 8. CP3, quiet game, had a weird couple turnovers and just down the minute stretch at the end of the game that was uncharacteristic.
Capella.
Or I guess you could say was characteristic. Capella was incredible.
But
in
it was
the opening
Harden,
half.
too, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
Harden was just giving him
I think Capella had
plays.
20 and 10 in the first half. He was
He's a beast.
electric.
I think he destroyed Towns with that block shot.
I don't know what happened. Minnesota is the weirdest bag of players in this
Something.
playoffs. First game, Towns only shot 9 times, had 8 points.
And that was his first
He was-
playoff game.
that was a
And
dud. That was a
I'm right
dud.
there with Bledsoe. He
Yeah.
may have had the
You're
worst
right.
first appearance in a playoff.
I think he's a mental midget.
Yeah,
I think
Towns?
he's
Bright
so
guy.
he's
Really
so
smart guy.
talented,
Really
but
smart guy.
emotionally,
Yeah,
I don't think he's all there. I think he's a very
emotionally.
sensitive
fragile.
kid, and I
Yes.
think he
Yes.
gets a little caught
All
up
of
in the
that.
moment. They were up by 7 when I was at work. I didn't get to see all the game, but I saw highlights. But they were up by 7, I think, at halftime or something like that.
I believe so.
They had a 7-point lead at some point, and I think it was in the 50s, the score. And then I see the highlights, and he was just disappearing.
He was
He
bad
was
the
a
whole
nobody.
game.
He was a nobody. He was bad the entire game. He was awful.
Yeah,
he was
bad the whole
miserable. Andrew Wiggins was also terrible. He had 18
Started out
points.
pretty good.
Yeah, he had a good
But then
showing
he
in the
was bad
first
too.
quarter. He shot 15 times.
So I don't
Derrick
even know how
Rose.
I don't even know how Houston only won that game by 3 points.
Exactly,
because,
that's what's
I mean, I
alarming.
guess Butler had a real good game. but
Butler
it
didn't
wasn't-
have a great game. He had
Well,
13 and
somebody
5.
had to have a good. That's what I'm saying. What happened?
No one had a good game. It was
Yet
just
they played
I just
within
don't
3
understand.
points.
I honestly don't know what happened. Derrick Rose had the most promising game from them, and he had the highest usage. He had like a 32% usage. Shot 15 times and had like 17 points. But no one on Minnesota was
Rubio
like,
was
okay, this guy's going to help
so-so.
them win. They look
No,
terrible.
yet they stayed with him pretty much down
Maybe
to the
Houston
end.
just was.
I
thought
think,
James-
scoring.
I think this was the game that Minnesota needed to win, and I think they're going to get swept for sure.
I think so, too.
Before this, I was thinking 5 games, but after watching this game with I don't really know what to expect moving forward. I mean, maybe you could say that Towns is going to turn around and realize that he's a top 20 player in the league and one of the most.
How good was Harden?
Harden was
Oh, boy.
remarkable. I mean, he had
even with the assist that he started the game with, the Capella, and then I love his footwork. I mean, he steps back this way, he steps back that way, he steps to the side that way.
You have to watch
he's like
it.
a dancer. He belongs on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, you have to watch it
Amazing.
like 6 times to tell whether
So
or not he
quick.
travels. And most of the time he doesn't, but sometimes he does. Like the one where it was like 57-55 against D Rose, and that step back, that was a clear travel. But there was one later in the game that wasn't a travel, and they're so close.
Yeah.
It's what he does with his first pivot foot off the step back, because
Yep.
sometimes
On
he
his
shuffles
toes.
that again. It's really hard to tell.
One thing I've
He's an
noticed
innovator, that's
from that
for
game
sure.
that I think is telltale for maybe going forward with the Celtics is that the Celtics defend a whole lot different than Minnesota does. When I just because I haven't
Yes,
seen
we
Harden
do.
play that
We
much,
do.
but when I saw Harden play against the Celtics, the way he's played by the Celtics and the way he's played by Minnesota, really different. You know, he doesn't get much space with the Celtics at all. He gets lots of space with
You know,
Minnesota.
Harden scored or assisted on 15 of the last 17 field goals.
That makes sense. Sweep. I'm saying sweep.
I think I'm with you.
You know
Wheel
what?
it.
One play I love by him.
Yeah.
3 seconds left on the shot clock. He's out top. Everybody thinks it's going to be a shot. Yet he still, with 3 seconds, still takes it to the hole and scores.
Yeah.
Really, really talented guy.
All right, Oklahoma City at Utah Jazz. This game was not as close as the score would indicate, I would
Definitely
say.
not.
It was
Definitely
116-108, an 8-point victory. I would say it looked more like a 20-point victory. Paul George was absolutely lights out, nuclear performance. 8 3-pointers, had 36 points. They're calling him Playoff P. Russell Westbrook had an electric game. He was dependable from the mid-range, and he was doing a great job as a creator, and he was his usual Energizer Bunny self. Carmelo Anthony started strong, didn't have a bad game overall. And what I found interesting about Carmelo Anthony's game is, and what disappointed me from Quinn Snyder and from the Utah Jazz, is they didn't really take time to isolate onto Carmelo Anthony with Donovan Mitchell or even Joe Ingles or any of their potential isolation scorers. Didn't use Carmelo as obvious defensive target at all. The only time Carmelo was picked out was when Derek Favors switched on him in the post, but Carmelo is actually kind of a reputable defensive threat in the post. So I thought they did a terrible job of that. Donovan Mitchell played well.
Who I thought, as we're talking about guys that had a bad first playoff game, I thought Gobert was bad.
He looked like, okay, so I think...
he had some stats there, but I thought he was bad.
I think Gobert might be one of the most overrated players in the league. I think
overrated offensive players.
I think in general. I mean, he's a top
defender.
I've seen him play well. Against the Celtics, he played real well.
He's a top 3 defender in the entire league, and his protection around the rim in terms of its gravity is remarkable, and how he dismays people from even coming into the paint can only be said about 3 or 4 other players in the league. But that being said, he can, if someone goes up and hits him into the body on the way up with their shot, he gets really thrown off kilter, and he doesn't really have that great. It's like he loses his hand-eye coordination once he gets hit, and instead of turning into a shot blocker, his arms turning flailing, he turns into a foul threat. Offensively, he's putrid. I mean, in terms of his hands might be rocks. He's like lob. I understand that Rubio is more of like a bounce pass, thread through people person instead of like a lob threat. But even when Rubio is hitting him on target, he's bobbling the ball. I
think I like him better than you do, and I think he's a lot better than he played in that game. I think he played bad.
Oh, I agree. He's better than he played. I think he's a top 30 player in the league.
If he has a good game, and I think he can have a good game, I think that series may tighten up a little bit.
I think that they're going to win 2 games. I think
Donovan Mitchell was nice.
We talked last week about how
he hurt his toe though.
Yeah,
he's a game time decision.
We talked last week about how nobody really wants to play the Thunder, and I think we're seeing that come to life right now. I just worry that the Jazz don't have that much offensive playmaking ability.
Not at all.
They don't.
Save for Mitchell. And Mitchell's theatrics were great in the latter part of the NBA season, but a lot of the time they were playing teams that were either resting or not really accelerating.
Right.
And they're all accelerating now. I mean, you're playing a really talented, experienced Thunder team that is running and gunning and at full strength.
It really spoke a lot about how their offense for a good, 6 straight possessions in the fourth quarter was going. Their go-to player was Alec Burks. He made some big shots. He made some big shots. But when your team's go-to player to get you points in a game that you're down, that you're trying to come back from, is Alec Burks, that says a lot about what options you have on your court. I don't think that. I think that they will win games because of a defensive strong game matching up with a poor shooting game from either Westbrook or George, and I think that will win them 1 to 2 games in this series. But I don't think at the end of the series it's going to be crazy to say Steven Adams outplayed Rudy Gobert throughout the entire series. I don't think it's crazy to say that Paul George was the best player in the series at the end of the series.
I like George communicating with the fans and making like he liked where he was and liked what he was doing and enjoying.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
I think the Jazz already came away with the W this season.
Yeah,
they lost their best player, and everybody thought they were going to be a lottery team.
I don't know if we have time for a Trump Award, but it comes out of the series. I'd like your take, because I don't know who it is. Was it Carmelo or Westbrook? Was it Carmelo when he talked up and said Westbrook is cheating and hogging and going for rebounds to pad his stats? Or was it Westbrook that actually was padding his stats to try to get the triple-double for the season? Did you saw that kind of what went on there, didn't you?
Westbrook got 19 rebounds.
He got 20 rebounds, I think, 2 games in a row. And
he got 18
Carmelo came out and said he's stealing rebounds, is what he said. He said Westbrook is stealing rebounds from other players to pad his stats, which is unbelievable that a teammate would say that.
A lot of the players are trying to get him there.
Yes, the point is that Melo was making fun of him. And in addition to that, if you
Westbrook took offense.
Well, Westbrook took offense because he's a supreme competitor. And if any one of those players wanted to get that rebound, the point is they couldn't, because Russell Westbrook's going to get it first.
Is that the stat that Westbrook needed to average a triple-double?
He needed to get 16. He got 20.
So he actually needed those. He actually had
I think
to
he
get those
needed more than
rebounds to average a
16.
triple-double.
I think he needed 18.
I think it was
He got
exactly
20.
16. So
Carmelo never should have spoke up.
I hate this narrative.
I think it's
I do too.
It's pretty stupid to begin with. Like,
Russell Westbrook
That's
really
Carmelo.
cares.
But
That's Carmelo.
Russell Westbrook getting defensive rebounds is good for the Thunder.
Absolutely.
They should want him to get
Okay.
as many rebounds as
Well,
possible.
then I hear it. Then
I don't
right.
care if he's stealing rebounds. It makes it a better.
I don't either. I'm just
you know what I
asking
mean?
you whether Carmelo's got any.
I think Melo was just messing with him. That's
Okay,
what I think
okay.
he was doing.
I think
Well,
he,
you
I
don't
think he
mess with-
asks Steven Adams to box out for him
Which
and
is
tells
smart
him,
because
"Can I
Steven
get
Adams
the
is one of the
rebound?"
strongest players in the league, best box out in the league.
Okay.
A couple
Thanks.
quick words about Toronto. Finally quenches all the doubt about winning games. They looked awful.
Lowry
I
and
thought they were-
DeRozan didn't really play. DeRozan played better. Start
I
second
was
half.
like, "Here we go
Yeah,
again."
so they win,
I mean, it
they
is
win
really-
114 to 106. John Wall had an okay game. The rest of the Wizards didn't play that strong. Toronto's bench
I
played.
think Wall's the problem.
Toronto's bench played well. Lowry and DeRozan both were absent.
Toronto was able to make their bench work on
Yes, they were. I
without
doubted.
VanVleet.
Yes, I doubted that.
Without VanVleet.
But I think that smoked more on just the mishmash that was Scott Brooks throwing random players that didn't make sense.
I don't think that Wall and Beal are any longer a marriage. I think they've broken up. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
wouldn't be-
I would
and
sure.
they used to be something that really complemented each other. I think that destroys the team.
Wall is the new Gilbert
be.
Arenas. He thinks he's like
Gilbert
a rock
Arenas is so much
star.
cooler than John Wall, though.
Yeah, but John Wall thinks he's cool. That's even
And it's
worse.
hurting Beal, and I like Beal a lot.
You got to be cool without even knowing
I still
it.
think that this is going to be a tough series for the Raptors. The Wizards have enough talent. And
I think they got a nice. I think Toronto got the proper matchup for this. I think they're going to be able to relieve a little bit from their
easily the
shoulders.
most dysfunctional team out of the bottom. It's unfortunate because this is probably the most talented team out of the bottom 4 seeds. If you just sit talking about those people, but I don't know. I trust Bradley Beal and John Wall to have a strong enough game moving forward where Porter will make more contribution than his 2 for 8 shooting with 9 points. And hopefully Oubre's injury. How serious is it? Do you know?
He might be out for good.
That'll hurt, but we'll see.
It does hurt
we'll,
already.
We'll see. I still don't trust Toronto, and I could not be less intimidated of the Toronto Raptors with winning a game by maybe 6 points. They won by 8, but in contrast to the OKC game, I thought it was closer than that. I mean, I thought they got outplayed for maybe the 38, 39 minutes of that game, and then they just kind of started pulling
got a lot of
away
pressure on
when
them.
Washington started making mistakes. And you could tell that there was a little bit of anxiety coming into play
Yeah,
in
that's
certain
what I mean.
times.
Definitely.
DeRozan in the fourth quarter was
know what's
passing
going
off
on.
shots he would take in the that's what I saw. I mean, I agree. I also saw DeLon Wright performing very well off the bench. He played a great game.
Miles.
CJ Miles. Lucas Nogueira had a good game. Only 10 minutes, but he played good in those minutes. But the things that I also saw was Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan not willing to take on shots late in the shot clock, late in the fourth quarter, where their team needs their alphas to step up, and they weren't that. And I think moving forward, that's going to be a huge problem for them. If Indiana beats Cleveland, hypothetically, I think that Indiana could beat Toronto. Like I don't know. I just think that any team in the East could beat Toronto, and I'm not that intimidated by them. So moving forward,
You've been saying it all year.
I think we can do the picks off air. Tonight, we have Miami at Philadelphia and San Antonio at Golden State. What any predictions for those games before we sign off?
Well, I'm going to go with a flip-flop. I think Miami's going to beat Philadelphia tonight.
Yeah.
And I am going against you. I'm saying that
I
Philly is
understand
once
why.
again going to dominate.
I just seen that happen a number of times where the 30-point victory just flips in the playoffs right away the next game.
happens-
Celtics Lakers.
Yeah. That happens in the finals a lot. That happened in the
And the
Cavs
Celtics
and
Lakers, it
Warriors.
was 30 points the one way and then 30 points the other way the next,
I remember,
the next
I
game.
remember that. That was crazy.
And Golden State, keep on raining those threes, Iggy.
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy. Clay had a beautiful game. 11 for 14, 27 points on only like 13 shooting possessions.
Could be his last year as a Warrior.
I hope so. I
And
hope
where's
so.
Kawhi?
All right, so I think that's all we got. Have fun watching NBA playoffs and some other stuff. We'll see you next week. Happy April.